Hey everyone, in today's video, we're showing amazing videos of tornadoes and cyclones to show just how strong and surprising nature can be when it's at its most powerful. Watch till the end and let us know which part surprised you the most. On May 7th, 2024, a powerful tornado tore through Bartlesville, Oklahoma, causing massive damage to homes and buildings. Tragically, one fatality was reported, but there were no injuries at the nursing home.
Oh my God. Hold still.
On the 16th of June, a driver captured a frightening video of a tornado crossing the road right in front of their car. The spinning funnel cloud whipped up strong winds and sent debris flying through the air.
Tornado ahead! Tornado ahead! We have a tornado ahead! That's right.
The close encounter showed just how dangerous it can be when a tornado suddenly appears on the road ahead, tossing things into the air just yards away from the vehicle. On the 20th of November, a person films as a tornado heads straight for their home in Andover. The frightening video shows the massive twister getting closer and closer until it reaches their yard. The dangerous footage captures the tornado's power as it arrives at the house, proving why people should seek shelter rather than film approaching tornadoes. On May 13th, storm chaser Brandon Clement used a drone to film an amazing sight in Van Zant County. The flying camera caught a clear view of a tornado moving across the landscape. On the 7th of November, 2011, an intense close-up video shows a remarkable sight near Snyder, Oklahoma. The footage captured a small, spinning vortex inside a larger tornado, showing the complex way these storms rotate. Rare view reveals how tornadoes can have smaller spinning parts within the main funnel, demonstrating the incredible power and structure of these dangerous storms. On the 16th of January, a rare and frightening tornado moved through the village of Pizuri in Cyprus. The unusual sight sent residents scrambling as the funnel cloud spun through their area. On the 9th of October, a camera in Matlacha picked up frightening footage of a tornado forming during Hurricane Milton. The spinning funnel cloud was captured on a live video feed about 6 miles northwest of the camera location. On the 2nd of July, someone driving their car saw and filmed a tornado going right across the street in front of them. The swirling funnel cloud made very strong winds that picked up and threw things through the air. On the 9th of October, scary video shows a huge tornado taking shape in Clewiston, Florida, as Hurricane Milton moves toward the area. The footage captures the dangerous moment when the funnel cloud forms during the approaching hurricane. On the 6th of June, a tornado struck the community of Darnestown in the western part of Montgomery County. The storm moved through the area, bringing damaging winds to this Maryland community. On the 25th of March, 2021, a GoPro camera captured amazing time-lapse footage of a massive tornado near Brent, Alabama. The video shows an extremely wide tornado called a wedge tornado that was wrapped in heavy rain. On May 23, 2019, a tornado formed and moved across the landscape near Canadian Texas. The dramatic footage shows a well-defined funnel cloud spinning across the open terrain. On the 9th of July, 2020, a very strong tornado hit Minnesota. The big storm was one of the worst to hit the state that year. Sadly, people died when this tornado came through. The storm reminded everyone that even states up north can get dangerous tornadoes too.
I can smell it.
and dangerous tornado on the ground, confirmed by National Weather Service spotters and by our high-resolution NIXRAD Doppler radar. And as you look at this image, it is quite a picture. You can see here's Greensburg now, and if you count off the city county lines with me, of course, these are county sections, so 1 mile. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This tornado is only 7 miles southwest of Greensburg right now. That's the leading edge of the place where that tornado could be at this moment. So 7 miles away, and it is moving north-northeast toward the town of Greensburg at this moment.
It's May 4th, 2007. And a massive EF5 tornado, 1.7 miles wide with 200 miles per hour winds, is barreling toward Greensburg, Kansas. The town is in its path, but no one knows just how devastating it will be. Lives will change forever tonight. What happens when everything is gone in minutes? The 2007 tornado season had been relatively average up until May. January through April saw typical activity with a few notable events. In late February, Kansas experienced the first EF4 tornado in U.S. history. The following day, a large outbreak in the southeast produced 2 more EF4 tornadoes, one of which struck Enterprise, Alabama, claiming 9 lives. March 28th witnessed several long-track tornadic supercells in the western plains. As May 4th dawned, meteorologists were on high alert. A deep mid-level trough was moving from the Rockies into the plains, setting up a classic spring dryline scenario. The Storm Prediction Center issued a moderate risk forecast for parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. Environmental conditions were primed for severe weather. Surface temperatures soared into the mid-80s, combining with moist air from the Gulf of Mexico to produce convective available potential energy values well over 3,000 joules per kilogram. An elevated mixed layer, or EML, was present over the plains, further increasing instability and creating a capping inversion that would keep storms isolated when they eventually formed. A key player in this setup was the low-level jet, or LLJ, a fast-moving stream of air about a kilometer above the surface. The LLJ on May 4th was particularly strong, dramatically increasing the potential for tornado development. As evening approached, this jet was expected to strengthen even further, a common occurrence in the Great Plains due to pressure differentials caused by cooling at higher elevations. Sounding analysis from that evening revealed a large CAPE profile, indicating an explosive amount of energy in the atmosphere. The inflated low-level hodograph, influenced by the screaming low-level jet, resulted in 0 to 1 kilometer helicity values over 300 units, a clear sign of the potential for significant tornado formation. At 5 p.m., the first storm fired off the dry line in the Texas Panhandle. By 6:21 p.m., the day's first tornado touched down near Arnett, Oklahoma. This high-based photogenic tornado meandered over rural farmland, causing no reported injuries or fatalities. However, it was just the beginning of what would become a historic night. At 6:44 p.m., a cluster of small thunder showers began initiating off the dry line over Harper County, Oklahoma. As these cells drifted north into Kansas, they began to merge and intensify. By 8 p.m., their updrafts had consolidated into one powerful supercell, which promptly went tornado-warned. The storm produced its first tornadoes shortly after, 4 small, brief twisters that remained mostly over open country in Clark and Comanche counties. But as 9 p.m. approached, the storm cycled and developed a powerful new mesocyclone. At exactly 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time, it dropped what would become the most violent tornado of the outbreak.
Greensburg, Kansas is known around the world now after a deadly EF5 tornado ripped through the town in 2007, leveling 95% of their structures and killing 11 people. But instead of just replacing what Mother Nature destroyed, Greensburg officials, residents, and business owners banded together with a goal of rebuilding the town as eco-friendly as possible, with a new recycling center as a top priority.
The commitment of Greensburg and residents of Kiowa County have stepped up to that commitment of recycling the green initiative.
Initially, the tornado's northeasterly track seemed like it might spare Greensburg. But as it approached, the parent mesocyclone began to occlude, steering the tornado slightly more to the north. putting it on a collision course with the town. At 9:41 p.m., the National Weather Service in Dodge City issued a rare tornado emergency for Kiowa County. At 9:45 p.m., Greensburg was engulfed by the massive EF5 tornado. The twister, now 1.7 miles wide with winds exceeding 200 miles per hour, tore through the town. For the next 20 minutes, Greensburg endured a nightmare scenario. When the tornado finally dissipated at 10:05 p.m. in a field northwest of town, the damage was catastrophic. The aftermath was staggering. 95% of Greensburg's buildings were completely destroyed. 11 people lost their lives in town, with 63 others injured. The estimated damage totaled $250 million. Survivors emerged to find their town unrecognizable. Streets littered with debris, houses gone, trees stripped of their bark.
I've lived here all my life, about 76 years. I used to teach school and I farmed, but I was never expected to see Greensburg look like a battlefield. Even though you see it, you just can't believe that this could ever happen. It sounded like an old-fashioned freight train's what they sound like, just a rumble. I came outside to see how much damage was done, and when I opened the door and the flashlight shined upwards, all I could see was plain old sky. It not only de-roofed it, it took 2 brick masonry walls down. I'll have to get some glass for the shade, but this is out of my grandparents' house. You never want to underestimate what a tornado can or cannot do. It can do anything it wants to do.
One survivor, Toshia Hoover, a dispatcher who had returned to work that evening to help, recounted the terrifying experience. We're watching the weather, watching it come for us. You never expect it to actually hit town, hit the building that you're in. We were watching it, but we had a lot of phone calls, a lot of radio traffic. The emergency response was immediate, but faced significant challenges. There was no power, no water, and no buildings to conduct operations from. Continued storms after the tornado further hampered efforts. The courthouse and a few other basements were used as makeshift shelters for emergency workers, while the rest of the town was evacuated. Ray Stigman, who had become Kiowa County Emergency Manager just months before, coordinated the response. Stegman recalled, "The day was just kind of an odd feeling day. Weather-wise, we were in a severe weather outbreak, precautionary time. I mean, they knew that we were going to have some severe weather." As dawn broke on May 5th, the full extent of the destruction became apparent. But even as the community reeled, nature wasn't finished. The Storm Prediction Center issued a rare high risk for the region, including Greensburg, for that very afternoon. While the town was spared another direct hit, a large EF2 tornado did touch down in Kiowa County, affecting some areas impacted the previous night. The Greensburg tornado wasn't the only significant twister produced by the supercell that night. After the EF5 dissipated, another large wedge tornado developed north of town. This EF3 tornado rapidly grew to 2.2 miles in diameter, making it the second largest tornado ever documented at the time. It caused extensive damage to farms and rural areas before dissipating south of Belpre. A third very large EF3 wedge tornado developed north of Haviland, growing to over a mile wide. It killed one person and injured another as it swept away a farmhouse in Pratt County. The fourth and final large wedge tornado of the night formed near Maxville, reaching nearly a mile in width. It claimed the life of a police officer when it threw his cruiser a quarter mile from Highway 50. In total, the Greensburg supercell produced an astounding 22 tornadoes over a period of 8 hours. This event surpassed the number of fatalities registered during the May 2003 tornado outbreak sequence and was the deadliest tornado to hit Kansas since April 26, 1991, when an F5 tornado struck Wichita and Andover. The recovery effort was massive and immediate. Hours after the tornado hit, Greensburg was judged unsafe and fully evacuated. The injured were transferred to hospitals in Dodge City and Wichita. The Kansas National Guard was called in to assist with security measures. Over 100 Red Cross officials were on the scene, working alongside the Federal Emergency Management Agency for recovery efforts. More than $100 million in federal assistance was provided for emergency response, temporary housing, and rebuilding infrastructure. The American Red Cross served over 39,000 meals in May 2007 alone. More than 7,600 volunteers registered via AmeriCorps to help clean up and rebuild. About 75,000 to 80,000 truckloads of tornado-generated debris, totaling more than 800,000 cubic yards, were hauled from Greensburg. The scale of destruction was unprecedented. When the damage was finally calculated, the storm had destroyed 961 homes and businesses and left 216 others with major damage. Another 307 homes and buildings received minor damages. The town's landmark water tower was toppled, and the visitors center at the Big Well, the world's largest hand-dug well, was completely destroyed. Jeff Blackburn, pastor of Greensburg Mennonite Church, described the sound of the tornado. It didn't sound like a freight train. The best way I can describe it, drive down the highway at 205 miles per hour. Windows down and stick your head out the window. You'll get the same sound. The tornado's impact extended beyond the physical destruction. Sarah McVeigh Newsom, a high school junior at the time, was in Salina for a state forensics tournament when the tornado hit. She described the agonizing wait for news. The scariest part was just not being able to get in touch with family. My parents were there, my grandparents were there, my other grandpa. He was there too, just not being able to get a hold of them for a long time. That was very stressful for everybody. As Greensburg looked to the future, the community made a bold decision to rebuild as a model of sustainability. Today, the town draws 100% of its electricity from a wind farm. It boasts the most LEED, or Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design buildings per capita in the US, and was the first city in the country to use all LED streetlights. City Administrator Stacy Barnes highlighted the town's progress. Greensburg is home to the most LEED buildings per capita in the US. It is the first city in the US to use all LED streetlights. Greensburg is 100% renewable 100% of the time. All of the electricity used in the city of Greensburg is wind energy. Meteorologist Tim Marshall, who surveyed the damage, noted the town's commitment to better building practices. Greensburg is the only town I know that have done this building better, and they've taken this initiative to the extreme. I went up there and saw what they call an ICF home, which is an insulated concrete form home, being constructed. I went in there, and I looked at this, and they had the roof trusses that were strapped down to the top of this poured concrete wall. I mean, that's very strong connection. The Greensburg tornado left an indelible mark on meteorology as well. It was the first tornado to be rated EF5 on the enhanced Fujita scale, which had been implemented just months earlier on February 1st, 2007. The tornado's path and intensity were meticulously documented. It was on the ground for 65 minutes, traveling nearly 29 miles and reaching a maximum width of 1.7 miles. Surface winds were recorded as strong as 205 miles per hour. NOAA forecasters in Dodge City issued a tornado warning 39 minutes before the wedge tornado hit the town, and about 10 to 12 minutes before impact, they upgraded to a tornado emergency message. However, challenges remain. Greensburg's population, which stood at about 1,400 before the tornado, has declined to around 850 today. Mayor Matt Christensen acknowledges the ongoing struggles. Greensburg's greatest challenges now are not at all related to the storm. It's related to just the economic challenges that small towns face all over the country. Just the demographic trends for decades and decades and decades have been towards more urbanization. Small towns are getting smaller, larger cities are getting bigger. Despite these challenges, Christensen remains optimistic about Greensburg's future. The thing I'm most proud of about Greensburg is most definitely the people. It was a strong community at the time of the tornado, and I'd say it's a stronger community now. Just that experience of the tornado, going through the tornado, and rebuilding after the tornado definitely brings the community together.
It is fitting that we hold the commencement on this day, because it marks the one-year anniversary of the tornado that forever changed your lives. Those of you who lived through the storm remember your ears popping from the change in the air pressure. You remember huddling with your loved ones in basements, and when it was safe to come out, you remember the shock of seeing your entire town in ruins. At this ceremony, we celebrate your year-long journey from tragedy to triumph.
The story of Greensburg garnered national attention. President George W. Bush visited twice in the first year, initially 5 days after the tornado, and again in May 2008 to speak at the high school graduation ceremony. During his commencement address, Bush praised the resilience of the community. As we look back on that fateful night and the years of recovery that followed, we're reminded of the words of Kansas Governor Kathleen Sebelius in the immediate aftermath. Everything you can think of that makes up a town has gone, except for the people. But you know, Kansans are pretty resilient. There will be a period of mourning and grief, and then the rebuilding will be underway. It's February 5th, 2008, and eerie calm settles over the southern United States. As millions prepare to vote in primary elections, meteorologists watch their radar screens with growing concern. Suddenly, tornado sirens pierce the air. The sky darkens, turning black. Nature and democracy are about to collide in one of the most significant tornado outbreaks in recent memory. The Super Tuesday tornado outbreak begins. The outbreak generated an astounding 87 tornadoes over a 15-hour period from the afternoon of February 5th until the early morning of February 6th. The storm system produced several destructive tornadoes in heavily populated areas, most notably in the Memphis metropolitan area, Jackson, Tennessee, and the northeastern end of the Nashville metropolitan area. The meteorological setup for this outbreak began several days prior. A series of strong low-pressure systems formed across the southern Great Plains on February 4th, contributing to record warmth on February 4th and 5 in the southern plains and lower Mississippi River Valley. High temperatures across many areas reached the 70s degrees, and in Alabama, temperatures soared to the low 80s degrees with dew points in the middle 60s degrees. Dew points in the mid-60s degrees were recorded as far north as Memphis. These unusually warm and moist conditions set the stage for severe weather development.
Also, probably some hail. Looks to me like a strong indication of hail, maybe some large hail that is to the north of where the tornado is. That notch, man, what a signature we've got here as this continues to move that way. And this new circle, now we've had these circled for some time in our Viper mode, but this is brand new, updated, the latest available, and we're the only ones that have this, that show you that this is just bright red, a strong indicator that there is a tornado in there as it continues to move to the northeast. This is the cell we're looking at the moment, but as it crossed right across this part, here's Highway 385 in northeast Shelby County.
As the surface low progressed northeast, a strong jet streak was positioned over the warm sector, with winds moving east, which was perpendicular to the direction of the surface winds, which were out of the southeast. This sharp change in winds resulted in significant wind shear and wind profiles favoring rotating supercells capable of producing significant tornadoes. The strong jet streak also provided substantial lift favoring supercells to form in the open warm sector. Instability across the outbreak area was considerable, with CAPE values a measurement of the level of tropospheric instability well over 1,000 joule per kilogram, and storm relative helicity, a measurement of the potential for rotating winds reaching over 200 meteorologists, recognizing the potential for a significant severe weather event. On February 5th at 6:39 a.m. CST, the Storm Prediction Center issued a high risk of severe storms for most of Arkansas, the first such issuance in February since 1998. By 10:16 a.m. CST, the high-risk area was extended farther northeast to include western Kentucky, northwestern Mississippi, the Missouri Boot Heel, West Tennessee, and southern Illinois. A moderate risk of severe weather was issued for surrounding areas, including northwestern Alabama, the rest of Arkansas, the rest of southern Illinois, southern Indiana, most of the rest of Kentucky, northern Louisiana, central Mississippi, parts of southeastern Missouri, southwestern Ohio, eastern Oklahoma, middle Middle Tennessee and northeastern Texas. The SPC issued a total of 15 watches during the outbreak, including 13 tornado watches, 2 of which were PDS watches, and 2 severe thunderstorm watches. This high number of watches underscored the widespread nature of the severe weather threat. Early on the morning of February 5th, a squall line developed across eastern Texas northward into Missouri and moved east towards the high-risk area. Ahead of the squall line, the cap, a layer of relatively warm air aloft which suppresses or delays the development of thunderstorms, took longer than expected to break. However, when it finally did in the late afternoon hours, numerous supercell thunderstorms quickly formed across Arkansas and southern Missouri. The first tornadoes touched down around 3:30 p.m. CST. Some of the most powerful tornado-producing supercells were situated across the Memphis and Jackson areas, as well as central Arkansas. One supercell produced a tornado that tracked an incredible 122 miles and lasted about 2 hours, setting a new record for the longest tracking tornado in Arkansas history. As the evening progressed, one of these supercells traveled across Middle Tennessee, including the Nashville metropolitan area and south central Kentucky, where several deadly tornadoes were reported during the evening hours between 7:30 p.m. and 11:00 p.m. CST. Meanwhile, the squall line that had developed earlier moved eastward throughout the late evening and overnight hours, causing numerous reports of damaging wind along with many spin-up tornadoes from Louisiana to Ohio and Indiana. One of the most significant tornadoes of the outbreak was the Atkins-Clinton Mountain View Highland, Arkansas tornado. This long-lived supercell developed around 4:50 p.m. CST southeast of Centerville in Yell County, Arkansas. The tornado touched down to the southwest of New Neely, causing minor damage to 2 structures and downing trees at EF0 to EF1 strength. However, it rapidly intensified to EF3 strength as it slammed into Lucky Landing, a marina at Lake Atkins where multiple vehicles, boats, and mobile homes were destroyed, and 1 woman was killed. Continuing northeast, the tornado struck the southern and eastern outskirts of Atkins, killing 3 people.